A little boy goes to his father and asks, "Daddy, how was I born?" The father answers, "Well, son, I guess one day you will need to find out anyway. Your mom and I first got together in a chat room on Yahoo. Then I set up a date via email with your mom and we met at a cybercafe. We sneaked into a secluded room and Googled each other. There your mother agreed to a download from my hard drive. As soon as I was ready to upload, we discovered that neither one of us had used a firewall, and since it was too late to hit the delete button, 9 months later a little pop-up appeared that said, 'You've got mail.'" A farmer's wife was out in the yard tending to his prized donkey when, out of nowhere, the donkey kicked her square in the head, and sadly, it was fatal. A few days later at the funeral, friends and neighbors lined up to offer their condolences. The pastor couldn't help but notice something odd. As each woman approached, the farmer would quietly shake his head, no. But when the men came by, he'd nod, yes. Curious, the pastor pulled him aside and asked, "I couldn't help but notice. You shook your head no to every woman, but nodded yes to every man. Why's that?" The farmer replied, "Well, the women all asked if I needed anything, so I said no." The pastor nodded, "All right, but what about the men?" The farmer smirked and said, "They asked if they could borrow the donkey." A little old man shuffled slowly into an ice cream parlor and pulled himself slowly, painfully, up onto a stool. After catching his breath, he ordered a banana split. The waitress asked kindly, "Crushed nuts?" "No," he replied, "arthritis." A group of tiny animals and a bunch of big animals decided to have a football game. In the first half, the big animals were crushing it and had the lead. But once the second half started, the little animals made an epic comeback, all thanks to a centipede who scored touchdown after touchdown. After the game, the chipmunk looked at the centipede and asked, "Hey, where were you during the first half?" The centipede grinned and said, "I was still putting on my shoes." A husband and wife were fast asleep one night when a loud knock echoed through the house. The husband groggily rolled over, glanced at the clock, 3:30 a.m., and grumbled his way downstairs to see who could possibly be at the door. When he opened it, there stood a drunk man, swaying slightly, with a sheepish grin on his face. "Hey there, buddy," the stranger slurred. "Can you give me a push?" The husband scowled. "Are you kidding me? It's 3:30 in the morning. Go home." And with that, he slammed the door and stomped back upstairs. Climbing into bed, he told his wife what happened. She sat up and gave him the look. "Dave," she said, "that wasn't very nice. Remember when our car broke down in the rain and you had to knock on a stranger's door for help? What if he had told you to get lost?" Feeling guilty, Dave sighed, got dressed, grabbed his shoes, and even gathered some tools, ready for whatever car trouble the man might have. He opened the door and called out into the dark, "Hey, you still need that push?" A cheerful voice replied, "Yes, please." "Where are you?" Dave shouted. The drunk answered, "I'm over here, on your swing set." A Chinese doctor moved to the U.S., but couldn't land a job at a hospital. So, he decided to open his own little clinic and hung a sign outside that read, "Get treatment for $20. If not cured, get $100 back." One day, an American lawyer saw the sign and thought, easy money. So he walked in. Lawyer, "Doc, I've lost my sense of taste." Doctor, "Nurse, bring medicine from box number 22. Put 3 drops in the patient's mouth." Lawyer, "Ugh, that's kerosene." Doctor, "Congrats, your taste is back. That'll be $20. Annoyed but not giving up, the lawyer returned a few days later. Lawyer, "I've lost my memory. I can't remember a thing." Doctor, "Nurse, bring medicine from box number 22 and put 3 drops in his mouth." Lawyer, "Hey, that's kerosene. You gave me this last time." Doctor, "Congrats, your memory's back. That'll be $20. Now fuming, the lawyer came back one last time, determined to win the $100. Lawyer, "Doc, my eyesight is so bad, I can't see a thing." Doctor, "I'm sorry, I don't have any medicine for that. Here's your $100. The doctor handed him a $20 bill. Lawyer, squinting, "Hey, wait. This is only $20, not $100. Doctor, congrats, your eyesight's restored. That'll be $20. A young banker decided it was time to upgrade his wardrobe and get his very first tailor-made suit. He went to the finest tailor in town, got measured, and a week later came back for his first fitting. As soon as he slipped on the suit, he looked sharp, like a man ready to take on Wall Street. Standing in front of the mirror, he admired the perfect fit, the crisp lines, and the confidence it gave him. But as he reached down to slide his hands into the pockets, he paused. There weren't any. Puzzled, he turned to the tailor and said, "Excuse me, but this suit doesn't have any pockets." The tailor raised an eyebrow and replied, "Didn't you tell me you were a banker?" The young man nodded. "Yes, I did." The tailor smiled and said, "Well then, who's ever heard of a banker with his hands in his own pockets?" A woman woke up one morning and noticed her beloved dog wasn't moving. Heartbroken and worried, she rushed him to the vet. After a quick examination, the vet gently said, "I'm so sorry, but your dog has passed away." The woman, holding back tears, asked, "Are you sure? He was such a huge part of our family. Isn't there anything else you can do?" The vet thought for a moment and said, "Well, there is one more test." He stepped out of the room and returned with a cat in a carrier. He let the cat out, and it calmly walked over to the dog, sniffed him from head to tail, then looked at the vet and walked right back to the carrier. The vet nodded and said, "That confirms it. Your dog is, indeed, gone." The woman, finally accepting the sad news, wiped her tears and asked, "How much do I owe you?" The vet replied, "That'll be $1,330. Shocked, the woman shouted, "$1, $330. For what?" The vet smiled and said, "Well, it's $30 for the office visit, and $1,300 for the CAT scan." Two priests decided to take a vacation in Hawaii. Wanting to really relax, they agreed, no collars, no black suits, nothing that would give away they were clergy. As soon as their plane landed, they hit a local shop and bought the wildest tourist outfits you could imagine. Flashy shirts, loud shorts, sandals, sunglasses, the whole package. The next morning, they hit the beach, dressed head to toe like total tourists. Sitting back in their chairs, sipping drinks, soaking in the sun, life was perfect. That's when a stunning blonde in a tiny bikini strolled right past them, smiled sweetly, and said, "Good morning, Father. Good morning, Father." She nodded at each of them and walked away like it was the most normal thing in the world. The priests were floored. How on earth did she know? Determined not to be recognized, the next day they went back to the store and bought even crazier outfits, the kind you can hear before you see. Dressed in their new, over-the-top beachwear, they returned to the sand, ready to blend in. But wouldn't you know it, the same blonde appeared, this time in an even tinier string bikini. She walked right up to them, flashed a smile, and once again said, "Good morning, Father. Good morning, Father." Finally, one priest couldn't take it anymore and asked, "Excuse me, young lady, we are priests, but how in the world did you know?" She laughed and replied, "Oh, come on, Father. It's me, Sister Angela." Tim finally decided it was time to tie the knot with his longtime girlfriend. One evening, not long after their honeymoon, he was busy organizing his golf clubs in the garage. His wife stood nearby, quietly watching him in thought. After a long stretch of silence, she finally broke it. "Tim, I've been thinking. Now that we're married, maybe it's time for you to give up golf. You spend so much time on the course, and I'm sure you could sell your clubs for a good price." Tim froze, his face suddenly filled with horror. Concerned, she asked, "Darling, what's wrong?" "For a moment there," he said slowly, "you sounded just like my ex-wife." Her eyes widened in shock. "Ex-wife? I didn't know you were married before." "I wasn't," Tim replied with a smirk. A mother is driving her young daughter to a friend's house for a playdate when the little girl curiously asks, "Mummy, how old are you?" The mother smiles and replies, "Sweetheart, it's not polite to ask a lady her age." "Okay," says the little girl, thinking for a moment, then asks, "What color was your hair 2 years ago?" The mother laughs but gently responds, "Those are personal questions, dear, and you really don't need to know." Unfazed, the little girl asks, "Why did you and Daddy get a divorce?" That question catches the mother off guard. She turns to her daughter and says, "That's enough. Let's not talk about that now." Later that day, the little girl plays with her friend. "My mom won't tell me anything about herself," she says. Her friend, with a mischievous grin, replies, "Well, all you have to do is look at her driver's license. It's like a report card, everything you need to know is on there." That evening, the little girl confronts her mother with a proud smile. "I know how old you are. You're 32. The mother looks surprised. "How did you find that out?" The little girl continues, "And I know you used to have brown hair." The mother is now truly stunned. "How did you figure that out?" With a gleam in her eye, the little girl exclaims, "And I know why you and Daddy got a divorce." The mother, now curious and a little anxious, asks, "Oh really? Why?" The little girl looks up confidently and says, "Because your driver's license says you got an F in driving." Yesterday, my daughter sent me an email, once again suggesting I find something useful to do with my time. Apparently, relaxing by the pool with a nice glass of wine doesn't qualify as productive in her book. She went on to say she was only thinking of me, and suggested I visit the local senior center to socialize with others. Taking her advice, I decided to give it a try. But when I got home, I thought it was time to have a little fun with her. I sent her an email and told her I'd joined a club. "A parachute club," I wrote. Her reply came almost immediately, "Are you serious? You're 73 years old, and now you're jumping out of airplanes." I replied back, attaching a photo of my new membership card. Moments later, she called, clearly alarmed. "Dad, this can't be real. Are you actually planning to jump?" I laughed and reassured her, "Don't worry. I just wanted to see your reaction. Life as a senior may come with its challenges, but sometimes it's a whole lot of fun."